Just a few days ago, the Alberta NDP announced that they've passed legislation to make the $15 an hour minimum wage a reality in 2018. The rate will rise to $12.20 this October and then by $1.40 in 2017 and 18, and can only be reversed by the NDP cabinet. Critics say that the hike will hurt businesses and consumers already dealing with an economic recession due to increasing costs being passed on. Not to mention that this really isn't the biggest issue facing Albertans right now. The unemployment rate is skyrocketing and people are desperate to get back to work. The NDP say that the money will be reinvested into the economy and keep workers from relying on food banks. Recent figures from the food bank actually show that the biggest increases in usage are those that are recently unemployed. And the actual unemployment rate in Calgary is 9%. Only 2% of Albertans bring in the minimum wage. And here's where it gets really messy for the NDP. Freedom of information documents obtained by the Rebel tell a completely different story from what the Alberta government are pushing out. And honestly, judging by the amount of blanked out material in these documents under the excuse of section something or other, this is information that the NDP really don't want you to see. You see, the NDP did some preliminary research in the form of a report entitled Minimum Wage Analysis, Planning and Next Steps. In this document, a daycare sat down with officials, and the analysis coming from that chat confirms all we need to know about the NDP's plan to increase wages by 2018. The daycare says that they have a low profit margin and that increasing the minimum wage could result in increased costs that would be passed on to families. You don't say. An analysis resulting from the conversation also shows that policy might be damaging to the NDP's pet plans for gender parity, because that's, the first thing on everyday Albertans' minds. Increased costs will inhibit one parent, usually the mom in the family. I thought the NDP cared about women. The preliminary research also suggests that increasing the costs of childcare are actually counter to the effect of increasing earnings for low-income Albertans, since it could keep one parent at home to avoid the added costs of daycare. Shocking. Isn't this what businesses, stakeholders, and agencies have been saying all along? If we're to base some logic on the report coming from daycares, why would the situation be any different for any other business? And wait a minute, didn't Rachel Notley just say that the minimum wage hike won't have an effect on jobs? That's not what businesses are saying. They're telling the NDP that layoffs will ensue and hours will be cut for employees. Rachel Notley also says that the NDP are working off of studies, a whole bunch of studies, a list of them that show an amazing effect of a minimum wage hike. And I can tell you right now that this is a flat out lie. Recommendations coming from the minimum wage analysis report are quoted as saying, determining the overall impact of new policies presents many challenges. The complexity of analysis, multiplicity of causal variables, and the sheer uniqueness of the Alberta situation make it difficult to make meaningful predictions, short of very complex and sensitive economic analysis, which has not taken place. In other words, there are no studies. Further, the report says that Alberta needs to build more analytic and research capacities to make better sense of renewed minimum wage policy that is intended to produce not just economic, but social effects. So the NDP have no research, there are no reports, they don't have enough information to make decisions, but they're pushing their policy through based on feelings and ideology. In fact, a back and forth email in the Freedom of Information documents says that further research will not be looking at the direct impact on businesses, agencies. The research plans include a labor force analysis that will have a macroeconomic approach and examine changes in areas like labor market elasticity. They don't even plan on researching the effect on business owners, and the information that they do have is telling them that this risky policy is about to make things a whole lot worse for business and consumers at a time of serious economic hardship. And ultimately, it could even affect workers. The more money you make, the more taxes you pay. This is basic working adult knowledge. The NDP are counting on us to not do our homework, but the analysis suggests that the policy is completely counterintuitive to what they want the outcome to be. But there's a big difference between wanting something to happen and reality. All the NDP are showing with their strategy of implementing the new minimum wage policy is that they're incompetent, they're lying to citizens, they don't care about research and facts, and they don't care about businesses, Albertans, or the economy, and most importantly, the people that suffer the most from their policies. But we already knew all of those things, didn't we? For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.